If there's anything in this world that's guaranteed, it's that the sun will rise and fall, the seasons will change, and nerds will nitpick. Sometimes stories have mistakes, especially in comics where issues come out monthly, and it's a good reader's duty when catching an error to stick your finger to the sky and declare that you are, in fact, smarter than the writer. It's a thrilling situation, but normally your perceptiveness is ignored. If only there was a way to win a prize for every time you prove your intelligence by catching the mistakes of an overworked and underpaid writer or artist. Well, there isn't. You get no prize. And there's no prize with more nothing than the No Prize. The No Prize was the joke award given to Marvel readers starting in the early 60s. With the sudden success of the Fantastic Four, Marvel's mailbox quickly filled with letters from readers, and some of them would be printed in the books. Issue number 4 contained a letter from a fan who had a question about the logic of this scene from issue number 2, where a Skrull, posing as Sue Storm, steals a gem and turns invisible. It read, "In your second issue, in the Skrulls from Outer Space, when Susan Storm holds the stolen gem and becomes invisible, the gem becomes invisible too. Explain that." To which Stan Lee replies, "Tell you what, let's make a contest out of it. We'll give $5 to the reader who sends in the best explanation." Naturally, there were way more answers than they expected. Who can resist $5? Back then, that was basically 50 comics. The winner of the contest was announced in Fantastic Four number 6, and it's not really relevant, but the explanation was pretty much what was explained 2 pages later, that it was a Skrull who shrunk in size to appear invisible, and the gem was carried away unseen. I don't know if the writer of the first letter just didn't read the next pages and just immediately saw Sue making something invisible, which she couldn't do at the time, and just had to write and send a letter before either finishing reading and realizing that it was already explained, or didn't even finish the book. Explain that, Bruce. Jumping over to Fantastic Four number 22, which is, coincidentally, the issue where Sue learns how to make other things invisible, one reader writes in saying how much they love Marvel, as evidenced by their comic collection numbering 1,000. Stan replies, "We're always looking for little contests, with no prizes because we're cheapskates, but if you have 1,000 comics, we'd like to know if any collector has more. How about it, fans? Who's got the most? Let's hear it from you." This would be the first contest where it's stated that there would be no prize. Fantastic Four number 25 would have the announcement of the winner of the no prize contest. With a collection of 11,221, shout out Bill Dubé for being the first winner of a no prize. Side note, as a person living in 2026, it's wild to me that they just printed people's full addresses in a public magazine. Best case scenario, you make a new friend through letter correspondence. Worst case scenario, someone who disagrees with your opinion travels to your house and kills your whole family. The next no prize, though not referred to as a no prize, just acknowledged that there would be no prizes, Stan asks readers to write in telling them what the Marvel Age of Comics really means. With the lack of prizes awarded, Stan says, "If there are no winners, then no one can lose." They announced the winners in Fantastic Four number 31. In Fantastic Four number 32, a fan writes in to criticize the sudden reappearance of Red Ghost with no explanation after he was trapped on the moon in issue 13. That fan, by the way, and I'm not joking, was 15-year-old George R.R. Martin. I'm gonna be honest, I thought George R.R. Martin was British. I didn't know he was from New Jersey. Stan offered up a no prize to whoever could come up with the best explanation for the error. In my opinion, the best version of the contest. An opportunity for anyone who noticed a mistake to use their imagination and make it make sense. The winner of that contest was announced in Fantastic Four number 35. Fantastic Four number 39 rolls around, and Linda sends in a cavalcade of questions. Me being from the future, I'll try to answer as many as I can. When is Reed going to pop the question to Sue? Issue number 35, you missed it. When is Ben going to marry Alicia? Fantastic Four, Volume 6, Issue 5 in 2018. When is Pete Parker going to have some good luck? Never. What is Alicia's last name? It's Masters, but wouldn't you know it, that answer came from a no prize contest. Stan asked fans to write in and pitch them last names for Alicia, and the winner was announced in issue number 42. For those who don't know, Alicia is the stepdaughter of the villain Puppet Master. Basically, they just made his last name Masters and gave it to Alicia. Another big thing to come of the No Prize contest, but not really, was in Fantastic Four number 51. A fan wrote in asking for an origin story for the Silver Surfer. Issue number 55 was printed, with a list of names who offered stories that they liked, but ultimately said they'd do it differently when they got to it. The No Prizes contest would continue, but the bullpen bulletin pages of Amazing Spider-Man number 50 is when Stan first acknowledged an annoyance that some fans have had about the No Prize.
You know all the zillions of no prizes we've been tossing around for years? Well, since a no prize is really just that, a no prize, many of our time-honored winners have asked how they can prove to posterity that they've ever actually won one. Therefore, from now on, every winner of what has become the most coveted non-award in history will receive a little something to prove he's really won.
Since it's not possible to show your friends the letters columns from the comics to prove it, the No Prize was sent out to future winners. That being a pre-printed envelope with nothing inside. Many people did not get the joke. Eventually, in 1972, Stan stepped down from his 27-year run as editor-in-chief to return to publishing, leaving the awarding of No Prizes up to the individual editors, who all had their own personal policies regarding what was deserving of one. The No Prizes became such a staple of Marvel fandom, and many people wanted to win one, leading to a huge rise in letters from readers scrutinizing the most minor of mistakes. Anything from actual continuity errors to coloring or spelling mistakes. Editor Mark Gruenwald took to the pages of Avengers 269 to vent his frustrations.
When our fearless leader Stan Lee was in charge of handing out all no prizes, he kept the award criteria consistent. The no prize was awarded to a reader who spotted a mistake that all others overlooked, or a mistake that many people spotted, but only one came up with a plausible way to explain, or some great suggestion or service to Marvel in general. But when Stan's many editorial successors, like me, took on the responsibilities of bestowing these much-coveted non-awards, the standards for awarding them became very inconsistent. Some editors sent one to practically everyone who wrote in, regardless of what he or she wrote in about. Some sent them only to people who didn't ask for them. Some categorically refused to send them to anyone. And finally, some came up with their own methods for determining the no winners. For well over a decade, this non-system's been the system. The result is that you readers probably no longer know exactly what no prizes are given out for. Still, a vast majority of all the mail that Marvel receives contains a request for one, no matter what it's for. There are some editors, and I must admit to being among them, who think that maybe no prize mania has gotten out of hand. Imagine, if you will, you're the writer of, say, Captain America, and you're doing your best to create some really good stories for the living legend, okay? With the editor's permission, you go through the month's stack of mail. You can't wait to see what the fans have to say. Their praise will help make some of the hard work you put into a story worthwhile. Their criticism will let you know the areas where you need to improve. But what happens? 90% of your mail says, on page 14, panel 3, Cap's glove is colored yellow, not red. I think I deserve a no prize for spotting this. And that's the entire letter. No opinion is expressed about the story at all. A writer can only assume that this one flaw either ruined the reader's enjoyment to such an extent that it's all he or she could think about when he or she wrote, or the mistake actually enhanced the reader's main joy in comics reading. Picture this: a nation of people who love fault-finding, who only speak to one another to inform them of their imperfections. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to live there.
Grunwald's rant continued into the letter pages of Iron Man number 208.
It's pretty depressing when you're a comics writer, artist, or editor who is looking for real feedback from your readership, either positive or negative, and all you get are letters demanding no prizes for the minor slip-ups you made. It makes you wonder if the only enjoyment your readers get out of your stories is pointing out to you the places where you, or one of your creative cohorts, made fools of themselves. Now, don't get the idea that your favorite creators don't want to hear about our mistakes at all. We're all very concerned with the little details. We do want to know every place where you, the reader, felt let down by the job we've done, but somehow, I think the No Prize, as it is presently regarded, has geared the thinking of many of our readers toward the petty nitpicking rather than overall critiquing. Nits are usually one-time only errors, a misspelling, a coloring mix-up, a costume inconsistency. That we can't fix once it's in print. But an overall critique of a book, telling us, for instance, that the Serpent Society is boring and we'd best get rid of them, that we can do something about, if enough of you so opine. So here's my plan. I want to encourage readers to write in with the good stuff. Not the petty stuff, good suggestions, good overall critiques, good, interesting letters. Beginning next month, I will be awarding the Letter of the Month for my favorite letter appearing on each letters page. The writer of the LOTM will receive a real prize, the one-of-a-kind, brilliantly colored plastic printer's proofs to the cover of the comic the letter is about. Writing a Letter of the Month sounds harder than finding a single foul-up, doesn't it? You're right, but Marvel fans have always been the most creative group of fans a company could ask for. I know Marveldom Assembled will come through. And what of the No Prize? Well, when our founder Stan Lee first came up with the No Prize about 2 decades ago, he explained, if there are no prizes, there can be no losers and no winners. I can get behind that. Everyone who reads Marvel Comics is a winner, as far as I'm concerned. So here's what I'm gonna do. By the power invested in me as a Marvel editor, I hereby award a No Prize to everyone who wants one, ever wanted one, will ever want one. It's that simple. You're all winners. You no longer have to be a nitpicker to get a No Prize from me. You've already got one. Take more than one, they're free. From here on, no more requests for No Prizes will be acknowledged, so save your stamps to write us a Letter of the Month instead. Reproduced at the bottom of the page is a no picture of the no envelope the No Prize once came in, your keepsake to commemorate the passing of the No Prize era.
This was all specific to the series that Grunwald was an editor on. Other editors had their own policies for giving out No Prizes, which were laid out in Avengers 274. Most had strict guidelines for what was deserving of one. Daredevil editor Ralph Macchio just gave them out for any reason. Some didn't give out any at all, and supposedly one editor gave them to people who didn't ask for them. But in 1989, distribution of No Prizes would cease entirely when Marvel was purchased by Ronald Perlman, who considered the No Prize to be a silly, expensive extravagance to mail out. Editor-in-Chief Tom DeFalco would bring them back in 1991 and firmly established the definitive way to earn a No Prize in Amazing Spider-Man number 347.
Now hear this, loyal Marveloids. With the dawn of a new decade, we've decided to revamp and update our policy on the awarding of those nifty No Prizes you hear mention of in many a Marvel mag. Henceforth, No Prizes will be awarded for one thing and one thing only: meritorious service to Marvel above and beyond the call of duty. What constitutes meritorious service? Lots of things could. Like sending a box of comics to the children's wing of a hospital, or compiling a chronological cross-title index to a character's appearances, or coming up with an explanation for a major discontinuity or discrepancy. Your imagination's the limit. So if you think spotting a misspelled word or a miscolored boot is worth a No Prize, you're living in the wrong decade. This policy is in effect for all Marvel titles whose editors award No Prizes.
A No Prize would be given out for random things every now and then, but this was basically the end of the endless cycle of readers begging for a No Prize. No Prizes are still around, now in the form of an email, but interest has mostly been exhausted. In the early 60s, it wasn't uncommon for people to receive actual prizes for noticing continuity errors, mainly from people like Superman editor Mort Weisinger. Stan Lee introduced the idea of the No Prize as a way to poke fun at readers who felt entitled to some sort of reward for their observations, and to remember to read comics for the fun of it, not because you might win something. There was nothing to win, but somehow giving that nothing a name made people hungry for it. Never before have people been so desperate to win nothing.
You know, as long as they're nice and polite and not pushy. Because some of them had, you know, it's not that anybody in comic books is great shakes on a national scale or anything, but they seem to feel, some of these fans, the pushy ones like you're talking about, Marie, that they own you. Yeah, I'm talking about the ones that write the letters.
In a charitable sense, The No Prize encouraged readers to think like storytellers. Mistakes were opportunities to be creative and add something to the story. But the recognition became too enticing, and the stories became secondary to catching mistakes. What originally was a way to dissuade nitpicking ultimately ended up encouraging it. Ironic. And you know what else is ironic? The fact that the empty envelope they sent out, which they didn't even do all the time, by the way, the physical representation of the lack of value being awarded, is actually quite valuable today. Go figure.
You won! So you get nothing!
You can have the power of the Fantastic Four.
It's clobbering time!
With Thing Feet and Thing Hands, the earthquake and moon-shaken power of the Thing can be yours.
I am the Thing!
Turn up the heat.
I am the Human Torch!
With the Human Torch mask and gloves. Loaded with the sounds and missile-firing action of the Human Torch.
Yeah!
Is Dr. Doom finished?
Pizza! Dad!
Thing Hands, Thing Feet, and the Human Torch mask and glove set, each sold separately.